everybody, and welcome back. And today's focus, we're going to finish up writing paragraphs about each of our subtopics. So most of you did a pretty good job, at least the ones that I saw, of writing some paragraphs, some sample paragraphs for one of your subtopics. You did a great job of listing the facts underneath your subtopic and then trying out a paragraph so that it sounded interesting to your readers, thinking about teaching your readers about your topic and including your facts that way. So we're going to keep working on that piece, and then we're also going to add a couple different layers today, some things that I want to show you that might help you write those paragraphs as you get going. The one thing that we don't want to do is to just copy our notes in some kind of strange paragraph format. We want to make sure that the information that you're presenting is information that is engaging for your readers, and it's not just something that you're copying and just putting back on your own paper, but you're adding some life to it. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And one way to do that is to not look at your notes while you're writing. So that technique of just putting two pieces of information under each subtopic is a way to help you not look at your notes and write from your knowledge, and then go back into your writing once you have some sentences written down, and then fill in the gaps with the specific information from your notes that you may need to draw on. I wanted you to be able to see this passage, Guide to Amphibians and Reptiles. And it has a lot of information in it, but I wanted you to see the style of writing that the author uses. So this is the beginning of the book. It's called Introducing Frogs. Early explorers traveling through the wilderness and modern condominium dwellers living near wetlands have at least one experience in common. It's impossible not to notice the myriad sounds of frogs during some parts of the year. Like the 18th century naturalists who desired to know the wild inhabitants of the New World, many people today, with no less fervor, are drawn into the damp nights to try to glimpse the frogs that appear, almost magically, each year. The invention of low-cost portable tape recorders in the 1950s helped field biologists begin to understand the intricate behaviors and interactions that attend these vocalizations and the breeding strategies that come into play. The discovery of subtle variations in the way adult frogs and their tadpoles balance numerous competing ecological and evolutionary forces has boosted interest in finding and watching the activities of frogs. As is typical with field biology, more questions continue to arise, promising that there will be rich discoveries to be made for many years to come. And then he goes on and he starts incorporating more facts. Frogs are known scientifically as anurans, literally meaning without tail, in reference to the form of the adults. They evolved during the age of dinosaurs and have diversified into at least 3,500 species found throughout the world today, with more still being discovered every year. So what I wanted you to notice about this, the other day when I showed you different passages from many different kinds of books, I wanted you to see the style that the writers are using in order to teach their audience about their topic. This author doesn't just start right in with the Latin name of frog, but instead he's drawing the readers in just like frogs do when we go to a pond. We're curious about them. We want to get a closer look. And he does that by talking about how even people today, as they did many years ago when people were first coming to this country, they were looking very closely to see what was going on in the ponds near where they lived, in the wetlands. So he's using almost a storytelling quality to teach readers the information. And then he incorporates a couple of those little facts into the writing. He talks about how field biologists first started to record the sounds of frogs. And then he gets into more of the specific descriptions of frogs. He talks about their Latin name and what that means, the number of species, that there are 9 families of frogs in North America, each with unique physical and behavioral adaptations that distinguish one from another. So he's going to get more and more specific as he goes. That's a really great way to get your readers into your topic, into what it is that you're trying to teach them. So rather than just start with fact, listing all your facts, listing all your numbers and your data and whatever information that you have that you got from your notes, think of it more as you're trying to tell a story. You're trying to teach somebody about something. If you were sitting in the class and someone was just listing a bunch of facts to you, it might not be that exciting or interesting to pay attention to that. But if they were telling you a story, and in that story you were learning all of that information, that would be a more engaging way to learn. If we look at my Google Doc from the other day, one of my subtopics is about frog anatomy. And I think that's really important for my readers to understand even before they learn about what are some of the environmental impacts on frogs. Because if you don't understand what a frog is made of, or how it's made, what its functions are, what its skin is like, how are you going to understand the ways in which the environment is impacting it? So I feel like I have a pretty good order. Remember yesterday Monday I talked about sequence. When I talked about cause and effect, I talked about sequence of events, and I talked about questions and answers. For me, there is a kind of sequence in my writing. I feel as though this has to be number 1. And this, to me, makes sense to make it be number 2. And this, talking about how scientists are helping frogs, makes sense to be number 3. What I'd like you to do today is to figure out, are your subtopics in an order that makes sense in terms of how you would write about them? I'm planning to take these 2 paragraphs and combine the best elements out of them. So I'll post that later for you to see as an example. And as I do that, I want to be thinking about these questions. And these are the same questions that you should be thinking about as you look back at your paragraph. Some of you did 2 paragraphs, and the advantage of that is you can pick and choose the best elements to make sure that you have everything that you need. Some of you only did 1 paragraph, but you still should go back into it to make sure that you've done everything that you need to. So the questions that I would go over, do the paragraphs include the facts that I listed? Could I have done a better job of that? I'm noticing that I could. Which one seems more interesting for my readers? I'm kind of leaning toward paragraph 1 because it talks about catching a frog and how slippery they can be, but I'm wondering if those elements would be better in a paragraph about frog anatomy and frogs breathing through their skin. I really like that idea of drawing the reader in. So if you have ever caught a frog, you know how slippery they can be. They have an amazing ability to leap from the water's edge into a vernal pool or stream, and they can live for a very long time. Now I'm kind of jumping from slippery to their ability to jump. So I feel like something else could go in there. But I'm wondering what would really help me. So I looked up frog anatomy, and then I remembered that I took a class in high school, and then again one in college, a biology class, where we had to dissect a frog. And one of the reasons frogs were used is because they're so similar to humans in many ways. They're just a little simpler to study. So I decided to look at a diagram of frog anatomy compared to human anatomy. And then I copied that image and put it in a Word document so I could really just kind of look at the 2. And what I noticed is that frogs and humans have some of the same parts in their anatomical structure. So if I go back into my new doc on frogs, I might want to say something about that. My subtopics in my original doc said frogs breathe through their skin, and they have good ways to defend themselves against predators, including camouflage, leaping ability, toxic skin secretions, living long lives, and having lots of offspring. So maybe, I don't even want to start with this sentence. Maybe I want to start with, have you ever stood at the edge of a pond or a wetland and watched as frogs leaped into water? Closer examination. You can see their heads sticking out of the vernal pools and streams. Their arms suspended as though flying in midair. Appear to be just hanging out, floating along. Staying still and not keeping out of harm's way. So you'll notice that as I wrote that, I wasn't really looking at my notes. I was just going on information that I had from my own experience or that I have read. Now, if I make that double spaced, wow, I'm on my way to a really good paragraph. Now here I might want to say something about their structure being very similar to humans. Isn't there a swimming stroke called frog? Or maybe I'm making that up. Sometimes when young children are learning, good grief, can't spell tonight, are learning to swim, they practice the doggy paddle or are told to kick their legs like a frog. You're probably wondering what Piper has been up to. She's had several walks today. She hasn't really been in the Corgi Cam a whole lot because she's been so busy outside enjoying the sunshine. But let's take a look at the Corgi Cam to see what Piper is up to. Today, you're going to continue to work on drafting your paragraphs. Try to do it without looking at your notes. Keep up that system of putting a couple facts for each of your subtopics and then write the paragraph about it. If you're ready to write another paragraph, maybe add a couple more facts. Just keep it small and simple, bird by bird. So you're not writing the whole paper, you're just taking it one part at a time. So that's step one, to keep writing your paragraphs for all of your subtopics. Most of you had 2 or 3. Somebody wanted to have 5. That sounds like it's going to be a really long paper. I would pick your top 3. 5 might be a bit much. Or see if you can combine a couple together. As you're writing, try not to look at your notes. Try maybe to find some visuals that would help you understand more about your topic. A visual can be more than just a diagram. It could be a graph or a chart. Some of you may have timelines that are important to look at. There are lots of different visuals that you can tap into. And just by looking at them, can you tell the story of what's going on? Again, trying not to copy things word for word from whatever source it is that you looked at. We want this to be as much as possible in your own words. And if you're quoting something, we'll talk about that. You'll want to quote it directly and put your citations with it. Okay, so that's number 2, not using your notes. Number 3, looking at visuals to help you write. And finally, going back for that last step to fill in the holes. So, find missing information with fast searches. So your goal is to make your internet and book searches faster by searching for specific information. So rather than just pouring through all the notes that you took, you want to have it be focused and fast. First, reread your writing to see what information is missing. Do I need to find specific numbers? Do I need to find specific names? Do I need to find specific details? So that's your first step. Then, once you figure out what you need, search for that specific information. Ask yourself where it might be. Can I find it in my notes? Can I find it in my book indexes? If I go to my books and look in the back, can I quickly find that information? Can I find it with a quick online search? For example, like the one I just did where I just typed in frog skin to find some quick information, and a bunch of sources came up, and it might be necessary for me to take some more notes on that if that's something that it seems I need to have more information about to communicate to readers. Maybe that's the key to understanding why frogs are so impacted in the environment. We're still drafting at this point. These are not final drafts. You're just trying to get all of your ideas down on the page to make it as interesting sounding to your readers as possible, to teach them about your topic in an engaging and interesting way. Okay? So good luck with all of that. Send me your work. I hope you have fun with this. Try to have fun with it. It should be fun. You picked the topic after all. It's something that should interest you. And make sure you get outside in the sunshine, because I think it's supposed to rain for a few days. And I am hopefully going to get outside in the sunshine as well. And hope everything goes well. Can't wait to see what you come up with. I'm learning a lot from you, and that's really fun. So, see ya. Sometimes you just need a snack. I feel like it's snack time. I'm having Ruffles potato chips. Maybe you should get a snack. I can't even handle the excitement. Whoa. Ooh. Just trying to zoom in here. Can I zoom in there? No. Why won't it let me zoom? Zoom. No. You. to get dark out. The sun's going down. Let's talk about frogs. Makes me hungry. That sounded weird. If you could have any snack, what would you have? I could go for some mozzarella sticks right now. I should be eating something healthy like fruit. But I needed a chip.